Get ready for Kane Brown. Kane is a stand-up comedian. Now, a lot of you would have seen him already. A lot of you will know him from the stand-up comedy circuit. The reason why I love Kane is that's exactly what he is. He is on the comedy circuit. That is raw. He's exposed to hard, raw comedy audiences. And he's a beast on stage. If you've never seen him, he's so strong. He's so confident. I think he looks good. You know, I admire him. I look up to Kane, and I went and watched Kane work just to kind of learn from Kane. And I'm now so lucky to be doing so many shows with him that you get to see how he is, see how he prepares, see how he deals with nerves and all that stuff. And I realized there's a lot to Kane. There's a lot to Kane that we can all learn from about confidence, perception, how you come across. Comedians in general, I've just, in the last few years as I'm doing stand-up comedy, I'm hanging out with them more, and I'm realizing comedians analyze life. They want to know how we fit in, how others fit in, how we can all live together, multiculturalism, stereotypes. And Kane and I are about to discuss all of that, including the perception of the Black community, his perception, why there's a lack of brotherhood or business brotherhood in the Black community. There's so much that we talk about. I hope you enjoy it. This is the Sandhu podcast, talking to the one and only a force of nature, a beast and a hilarious man, Kane Brown. We're live right now, just so you know. We're live right now. We're recording. That's it. That's how it. Look at your eyes. But look at, why are you on portrait? You got to turn. You got to go landscape. You work out. You got them shoulders. There you go. Right. You got those big old shoulders. What's the point of not showing them off?
All right.
Now what's that?
I've got this.
What's that?
Do you know what it is? I've got it on a See, this is why you messed up the whole of my thing. Wait. Let me move it over.
What's happened? Because now
this is the problem. Other way. Wait.
Okay. So you obviously.
One second.
There you go.
No, man, it won't work. Other way.
It won't work. So that's sideways. That's nice. That's nice. That's good. That's all right. Yeah, that's all right. Because I got
the little black border here.
That's all right. But you had two black borders before because you were in like a little tunnel. So now,
okay, a little sliver.
Yeah, no one needs a sliver of Kane Brown. You want a portion.
Thanks, brother. I'll give it the whole 100%, babe.
Firstly, welcome. Thanks a lot for coming on and all that. Nice to have you here. What's so funny? I feel like I've been fast tracked with my friendship with you, and I'm going to call it a friendship. Dare I say it?
I'd call it.
I hope we're beyond acquaintance. We're not just. I'm not. Like someone. I'd like to think I don't just see you at a comedy club and go, all right, that's Kane. You're all right, Kane. Yeah, Kane's going to do his thing, and I do my.
End of the conversation. Yeah. No.
But I think that's you though, because you're. Well, firstly, you're a big black man. You're tall. You work out. You got a great physique. You're a strong comedian. I've seen you. Yeah, there you go. Whoa! I see audiences. You're strong on stage, but you're one of the most sensitive people I know. I love that. But what are you, Kane? Are you outrageous and raw and ruthless, or are you a big softie?
I am a big softie.
No, you're not.
Honestly,
I've seen you on stage now. How can you be? Well, you can turn around to audience and go, hey, listen, don't effing this or effing that, and point at them and talk to them like you ain't scared of anything. How can you be a softie?
See what it is. This is the conundrum. So that's like my alter ego. So when I'm on stage, that is purely for entertainment purposes only. When you watch Real Housewives or whatever. At the beginning it says for entertainment purposes. That's what I am on stage.
Hold a minute. Of all the TV shows you could have compared yourself to,
that's true.
You said you don't like Real Housewives. That's me. They get me. Yeah. Okay. So, right. So you're saying it's all a front. It's just it's the other side.
Yeah. It's not a front. I'll tell you what it is. It is. All right then. Let's say, for example, oh God, it's hard to explain, but it's me. It's the essence of me, but you multiply it by probably 5. So I have the same beliefs as me when I'm on stage, but I will deliver it in a completely different way. The message I'm trying to get across on stage is funny with being in control of. Remember, some of the things I say is quite controversial.
Really?
So yes, so bearing that in mind, I can't come from it from a standpoint of view where I'm just saying, guys, this is what I believe in. I have to be really, look, I'm owning this. I'm owning what I'm saying. And so that's where I come from. And so the persona and characters built up around my ethics and beliefs. So yeah, but I'm a softie, man.
No, I know you are, and I know you're a lover of life. And it's funny because you meet certain people. And when I saw you, okay, my first impression. Right here, let's rewind back. Altaf. Altaf is the promoter, if anybody doesn't know, of Desi Central, but he now does Kobo nights, which is like comedians of Black origin. He does ladies only comedy nights, lots of different kind of comedy. But he's a fantastic little workhorse. I mean, you've known Altaf. He's our common friend, I suppose, because Altaf is booking me for comedy nights. And he said to me quite early doors, you know who you remind me of? You remind me of an early stage Kane Brown. I didn't know the black comedy scene. I didn't know you. And I was like, all right, what's he like? And I'd worked with a couple of people. I'd worked with Slim and a couple of and Kat and a couple of black, but only very in small amounts. But you and I now, through Altaf, have been put on the same shows for several shows. So I've been watching you work. But he said, go and see Kane. Go and see Kane at Hammersmith Apollo. You were doing a show there where you do like Africa versus, it's like the rest of the world, but it's like effectively the West Indies versus Africa, right?
Yes.
And I saw you there. You were ironing your shirt backstage, right? But you were welcoming to me. You were warm. And I remember that warmth because, I'm going to meet a big, strong black comedian, who's hosting this night. So I'm ready on my guard thinking, have I got to be funny? Have I got to be quick-witted? Have I got to hold my own? But you were just... you're really welcoming, really sweet. And that's the bit I think people won't get, that you can be that way on stage and yet tear it up. But Altaf saw that, and Altaf saw how we'd get on. He goes, I think you're going to get on well with Ken. I think you see that. So I'm going to give a little credit to Altaf. Not much. I don't want to give him much. Just that much. But he kind of said, but I just want to say, for the record, I just like being around you, Kane. I like watching you work. And I like what you got to say. This is why I want to do this podcast. Because I'm like, we have so many great chats backstage. We had an awesome chat on Saturday night. I'm losing track of the days. About Empire, the British. Because I've just read Empire Land by Satnam Sanghera, who's going to be on the podcast, who was on the podcast already. But just about how it affects, how we're all affected by the world and the life we're in. But you're like a philosopher like that. Do you feel that way? You're just observer of life?
Yeah, I think sometimes as I've got older, because obviously you've got children, I've got children, we've got to look at cause and effect, and we've got to look at how what we do, how it affects our children, and why are we the way we are. So I always question myself, why do I feel the way I do? Why do I think the way I do? Why do I believe in things that I believe in? And it's not, and I sometimes I look and I strip it back to, is it me? Is it my parenting? Like what my parents taught me? Was it my environment? Was it something that I've read? Where was the source from? And so when I start looking at things like that, I start to question, actually, yeah, do you know what? This is why, as a big black guy, all right, I used to do sales.
Okay.
So this is where, right. So I used to do sales. And I was always aware that I used to sell, it was legal stuff. It was legal.
No, I wasn't saying that. But what I meant was, no, actually, that's really not what I meant, because I did door-to-door sales. When you with the big bag of stuff, and you go to offices and you go like, oh, who wants a diary, a new set of diary filer faxes, that kind. But I think that's really important for life skills. But go on, I want to know.
Tell me, if I tell you what I did for a living, you would never believe me. Well, you would have, right. So I used to.
So many times.
Do you remember? Yeah. Right. So do you remember the guys that used to drive around in vans selling speakers?
Yeah, of course.
I did that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And what that teaches you, sales is a real good foundation for comedy. Really good. I'd recommend anybody, if they want to go into comedy, go into sales first if you can. Yeah. You get to speak to all different demographics. You get to understand who you are, what voice works for you. And so going back to the other point, I was always aware I'm a big black guy. I'm trying not to come across intimidating, but I want to get my point across. And so I've always had to reflect on things because I live in England and I've had bad experiences with police. I've had bad experiences with racism. So I'm always thinking, okay, well, what implications does this have if I do this? Or what implications does it have if I say that? And so when you're second guessing things, you're in a world of not necessarily being your true authentic self, because now I'm trying to assimilate to your world now. I'm always trying to, oh shit, how am I affecting this guy? How is he going to see me? What does he think of me? And what sales done was kind of got me over that and was just like, got me to express myself in an authentic way, but also making sure that the person feels comfortable.
Yeah.
And the psychology behind that is quite, I didn't even, it's only like as time's gone on, I started to think about it, but I've got to the point now where I do really reflect a lot on the things that I think are important, that I want to move forward with my children, for example. So like traditional things. So even with cooking,
Yeah.
like, you know, you miss one generation of teaching your kids how to cook your own traditional food. That is gone now for their children and their children and their children.
Yeah.
And so I'm always questioning, who am I? What do I represent? Did I represent myself well in this situation? And so now comedy has allowed me to express myself and say, actually, this is how I feel about this subject. This is how I feel about this. And I just feel like it's a great release, man. I love it.
It is great and it's lovely.
Yeah.
But don't you find there's a balance? I don't know what the point here is I'm making, but hear me out on it. Is if we need to be, and we're told to be in this modern day and age, more self-aware, be more woke, be more aware of other people's feelings, and that's all good, right? Because at the end of the day, you and I, nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings. It's all jokes, it's all fun, it's all celebration, it's life, it's having the moment, and it's thinking perversely, thinking off the course of normal, and going, what if this? That's where comedians live. Comedians live in this weird version of reality. Okay, it's like a satellite to the reality. It's connected, but it's but what if this? Haha, I see it like that. Either hilarious or why would you say that? How could you do that? So, but what my point I was making was, is there a danger with being too self-aware? And is there not something to be said for just screw it? Don't even think about anybody else's reaction. You got to just be free with your creativity.
Yes, I agree. And then when I'm on stage, I am free and I do express myself in the way I want to express myself. I think what comedy, and this is the problem, this is the issue, is that when you're not a name, when you're not a named comedian that's got a following that's just for you, so you'll go on a generic show, these people have come just to watch a show or to watch somebody else on the show or whatever, you have to win them over first before you can give them your true authentic self.
Yeah.
Because if I came on as just Kane Brown in the first 2 minutes, in a certain way, they might think this guy's a bit arrogant, or this guy, why would he say that? Or why does he mean that? Is he serious? And so I have to, in the first couple of minutes, make you gravitate towards me, being myself, but not giving you the full 100. It's just like, Tommy, come on. It's just like when you meet a woman, you don't bite your toenails in front of her on their first date, do you? Like,
no. Bro, I'm 44. My suppleness is not all that. I couldn't bite my toenails. I don't think I've been for 20 years. But I know what you mean. You want to, on that note, generally, I always feel the same thing because I talk a lot and I talk loud. And again, I'm tall as well. I find I've got to tone it down when I first meet people, particularly if you meet other guys, because guys will be like, what's his problem? He's coming across a big, and I'm definitely not trying to come across big man, at all. Yeah. I'm just kind of go, hey, what's up? And that's what I do. But I find I can't be that way. So I kind of have to, this sounds terrible. If someone's like, I've got so much personality, Kane, is what I'm saying, is I don't want to give it to you all straight away.
Yeah, I can't give you all of it.
But again, in the same way, particularly on stage as an act, you definitely got to do that. It's like, I'm not saying you're the same as him because you're tall black men, but saying something like Nabil. Nabil is like huge. And when he comes out and he can look all kind of menacing and mean and serious, but he kind of comes and goes, oh, hello. And he can do all that as well and kind of camp it up and soften it up. And that works so well. In the same way, when you come on, I always say, you're like, all right, you're drinking and you're holding a little glass of water and you have a little chit chat, but it's more like, I've come to have a bit of a gossip. And it's interesting that it's that style of tone of language, because I'm like, that's you diffusing the don't be threatened by me, because I know how your stereotypical minds work.
Yeah.
But ain't that weird? So you're playing to stereotypes by not playing to stereotypes, by making yourself non-stereotypical as a kind of soft big black man. Ain't that weird?
So yeah, it is weird, and it's the psychology behind it. Actually, you broke it down really well. But it's such a strange phenomenon, because I'm still being myself, but what I'm letting you know is we've got common ground. So don't be scared. Don't be worried about what I'm gonna say. Don't think I'm just up here to preach. I'm here for the same reason as you. I want you to have a good time. That's it. I want you to have fun. I want to express myself. We talk, we find common ground. It's for me, comedy should feel like a conversation.
Yeah.
It should feel like afterwards you're like, oh, do you know what? I'd love to go for a drink with Tommy, you know? Like that type of thing. Like, oh, Tommy will do this in this situation. Oh, Tommy would think like this. I wonder what Tommy's point is on this. And that's when people get your personality, and it's like, actually, that's the essence of comedy, is when people feel like they know you, even though they've seen you for 20 minutes or half an hour on stage.
Yeah. How sure do you feel as you? Because you come across so sure. And I always admire people like that, because I'm second guessing everything. And I mean everything. My marriage, my kids, this life. Is this the way? These pictures behind me. You know, like, what am I doing? Comedy. Do I pursue it another way? Should I just get a job? Should I just get like a 9 to 5? You know, like, it's always noise of, you know, like, but you seem rock solid.
You have to cut through the fat. You have to cut through the fat. I think in life, Tommy, I'll be honest. All right, then. This is how I put it. When you're on stage as a comedian, the audience look at you. You're the guy. You're the guy who they've come to see, okay? Even though they might not come to see Tommy, but they've come there, you're on stage, so you're the authority figure. A leader has to be sure. Otherwise, how can they be sure? So if you have doubt in your mind, all right, you've been on stage before, when you've had a little bit of doubt, you've not stood behind everything you've said, and the audience eat you alive, like they turn on you, and because they've seen a chink in your armor. Now they're piranhas. Now they're biting at your ankles. And you're like, you're in a sinking ship. You're like, how did I get here?
And you can feel it. You can feel the heat.
Yes.
The room feels different all of a sudden. It's moving.
Your mouth is dry. Your mouth's dry. People are like this now. They're just staring. And you're like, wait, how do I make them laugh? Then you start thinking about your jokes. Then you start thinking, oh, don't do that joke. That joke's not funny enough for this part now, because now the energy's gone. So I've got to think of a funnier joke, but I haven't done a build up to the joke yet. And so once you start doing all of that and you're not flowing, then you're in a different space now. You're thinking before you do something, and it should be organic.
Right.
I don't think of before I go on stage, I don't have a set 20, 30 minutes in my head that I'm saying, this is what I'm going to talk about now.
Wow.
I feel like I'm at the stage now where I have quite a lot of material where I can go on and see where to feel it out a bit.
Yeah, pick bits out. But don't you think the same applies to actually any field? So if anyone's listening to this and you're in the office and whatever, and you've got to walk into that office. I remember when I worked in radio, and you're going to the BBC offices, and all the open plan desks are there. You gotta be a certain way there. And there's some guys that would come in like idiots. You know, like, yo, all right, everyone, I'm trying too hard. And you're like, well, yeah, you know, and everyone goes, oh, all right, working away on their computers. And there's others that come in subtly. There's people that come in quiet. People come in self-conscious. So how you kind of come across, whether it be on stage as Kane Brown or whether it be in an office or whatever, is something I think that we all think about. But I think that created relaxedness that we're almost trying to create is kind of fake and natural at the same time, but it applies to so many things. The point is it applies to sport. You know, you're going to play sport. You can't be thinking, right, then I got to pass left.
Composure.
It's got to
composure.
And I think we do that for a living. We have to find a kind of natural, comfortable, unnatural situation. It makes no sense what we do.
Yeah, what you're saying is right. You have to compose yourself. It's like someone who's a martial artist. They could really hurt somebody, but they don't walk around like, what you looking at? It's about I know I'm comfortable within myself. I don't have to show you what I'm capable of. who I am. I don't have to try and one up you. I don't have to try and be the big ego in the room. And I think that sometimes when people are insecure, that's when they overcompensate. So the loud guy, you've been there. If you, I don't know, do you go gym?
Yeah, now and then. But yeah, I
All
know
right.
what you mean by the guy in the gym who's
the loudest one in the gym is walking around. Yeah, what? And he's talking on the phone. What are you saying, bro? That's not the guy who's a leader. He's not a leader. He's a follower, and he's trying to pretend he's a leader. He's trying to convince himself he's a leader. I think as you get older, you kind of have, there's always going to be doubts in your mind. Always, always, always. There's always going to be doubts with certain things. But what I think is, as long as the essence of where it comes from is genuine, then you can't steer too wrong. If what I truly believe, the essence, like as in my moral compass, the basic thing that make me who I am, if I stick as close to that as possible, then yeah, I might not be 100% correct on everything, but I know I'm quite close to the mark. Do you know what I mean? So that's where my confidence comes from, because I'm not coming in to try and, like when you first met me, I'm not trying to prove anything to you. No. I'm not trying to, do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to make you feel intimidated. I'm not trying to make you like me. If you like me, that's great. And I'm at that space where if you don't like me, you don't like me. That's fine. You know, it doesn't matter.
But that's also because you've had enough success on stages and in various other things that you do, and film roles or acting, whatever it is, bits about in the TV shows. So I think you need a few wins under your belt, or in your case, several wins under your belt, and then you go, it's cool. That's when you get to that comfort stage. But until then, I think of like the person who's writing their comedy material at home now, about to step on the stage for one of the first few times. They're not going to have that. They need to be liked. We all still come out with that kind of like, please like me until I get to that safe place where I can do whatever.
Yeah. But I was there, Tommy. I was there before. Like I've had to go through that. I've been in the game for what, 16 years now. So I went through that. I'll be honest, the first 5 years I did comedy, I stopped for a couple of years because of family stuff. I was young. I had to look after my kids. I'd split up with my ex. You know, I had no money. I had to work, blah, blah, blah. And so
and you don't feel very funny when all that's going on.
No. And you know what? Now is the priority. I need to make money. You know, like, my kids are in a separate house from me. I've got to maintain their house plus my house. On when you first start in comedy, you know what it's like. You know, you travel. I remember traveling to Derby for £20, and it didn't even cover the fuel. So it's like that's where I was, and I had to take time out, and it kind of gave me definitely a sense of perspective, and I understood. Look, listen, you got to do what you got to do, and it toughened me up. You know, I'm a tough cookie. Like, not many things faze me, and one of the things that I really kind of rest my laurels on is, no matter what you do, people are going to judge you anyway. Tommy, no matter whether you're great, whether you're shit, whatever you do, they're going to judge you by how you look. They're going to judge you by anything you say. They're going to judge you by whether I don't think he's funny. Oh, I think he's hilarious. It doesn't matter. So I've got to focus on me. Whoever gravitates towards me, great. Whoever doesn't, they don't. Fine. Go and gravitate to someone else.
But that's what, okay, I know it's so easy to blame social media and things like that, and everybody does that. And I actually don't think social media is a bad thing. It can be used in the most best possible way. But there's so much of life is what I call outward facing, like where it's, and Asian culture is guilty of it, because we're like, oh, gotta show, everything's on show. Make sure, you show people what you're about. Or even if you came over, I would have to host for you to show you that I've got the time and energy for it. It's all outward. And social media magnifies that by outward. But you're really saying, and really what we're saying is the brilliance in all this is just be cool. Just know you're flawed. I suppose this is what I want to talk about. Can I go? Really what I wanted to get across with you is you're such a big, strong personality. I admire you. I respect you. I think you're hilarious as well. But I'm like, I know he's sensitive deep down. I know he's, you look around, like, on Saturday night, we're looking at our biceps in the mirror, kind of, and I'm looking at your arms, and I'm like, oh yeah, but Kane, look at your waist. Your waist goes right down your shirt, and you went, yeah. But all that awareness is quite, dare I say it, feminine qualities, like to analyze ourselves in that way. And people may assume, particularly guys, will look at you or even look at me and kind of go, yeah, big bravado front. You're like, no, you don't realize it's soft as anything behind the back. And I suppose I wanted to get that across and say, people need to stop looking outwards and just kind of go, I'm all right with being flawed. I'm all right with having problems. I'm all right with not having all the answers. And I think once you get there, then everything kind of is a little bit easier. Like you've accepted your world now. These are your responsibilities, what you've got to do, and you're moving accordingly.
Yeah, 100%. To be honest, look, think about this. Yeah, you said you're 44. Yeah, right. When you look back to when you were young, you thought, when I'm an adult, you figured in your head you'd have everything together. Like you thought your parents had everything together, but they didn't, and I don't. So I'm not going to beat myself up saying, oh my God, why do I still feel like I've got an inner child inside me? Why do I still feel like I'm not a proper adult, even though, I'm doing well financially? I'm looking after my family. I'm making sure everybody's got food in their stomach and clothes on their back and a roof over their head. Why do I still feel like I still haven't got it correct?
Yeah.
But we live, like you said, we live in a world where perception and reality are two different things. So we could show that lifestyle where people are like, oh my God, he's got everything sorted. Like he's got everything. But beneath it, your feet are pedaling and you're like, oh my God, what direction do I go in? All right, look, do I do this? Should I sign up with this agent? Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I look all right? Should I go on a diet? Should I start going to the gym? And you start. But I just think that I have to be happy with myself first before I don't expect anyone. Do you understand what I mean? It's about me. It's nothing to do with anybody else. And I think once you've got that confidence within yourself, which comes from, I believe, it comes from acceptance. And I think that's where a lot of people have a big issue with accepting certain things about themselves because they want to change. I want to change who I am. I want to change how I look. I want to change. And there's nothing wrong with wanting change and wanting to better yourself. Nothing wrong with that. Understand it's a process. And it's not a quick fix where this is why you get a lot of people that are not happy at the moment they have plastic surgery. Or I'm happy with this, but I'm not happy with this now. And they'll keep going and keep going and keep going until they look an absolute mess. And it's all stemmed from insecurity. It's all stemmed from not accepting who they are. Nothing's wrong. Listen, if I didn't have good teeth, I'd go and get my teeth done. Not a problem. But I think that what people do, they try to change who they are. They try and change the essence of themselves. If I do this, I'm going to feel like this. If I do that, I'm going to feel like that. And that's not the case. Before you had your house, you thought to yourself, oh my God, when I get the house, I will be set. I'll feel good. I will this and that. And then you get in the house and you're like, oh, actually, bloody hell, this is costing me a lot of money. Now I'm having to, do you know what I mean? I bought an old house, I bought an old house and it was an amazing house. And I was like, it was like a old sash windows, beautiful single glazed sash windows, full fronted, amazing. I was like, when I get in there, I am going to feel that feeling lasted.
Made it.
That's what I thought it was going to feel like. And when I got in the house, it lasted about 2 months. And then I started looking around and saying, wow, it needs a new boiler. Oh, crap. How much is that? Yeah, well, you need a new boiler. The old boiler you got is 27 years old. So you need a new boiler, which has to go upstairs. You've got to put the flue out the roof. So now, to move everything, it's going to cost 14 grand. For the boiler! Okay. Okay, just for the boiler. Single glazed windows. You got open. Oh, mate. It just kept snowballing. It had the old plumbing. So every time my kids come round, they put wipes down the toilet. It would block it. Cost me £500 to unblock it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm hemorrhaging money. But whatever is on the other side of what you think you want is not necessarily what it's going to be like. So don't be disappointed. Life is full of unexpected things. Just enjoy the moment. Just enjoy now. Enjoy your health. Enjoy your time. Enjoy your kids. Enjoy your family. And just say, do you know what? I'm happy. That's it.
Yeah, it's nice, man. That's a great message in itself. But coming back to the family thing, you said family has and all that. You talk a lot about family, and I'm going to say something which again, I'm purposely being a little bit controversial in the way I phrase it, but I know I don't need to hold back with you and try and find the correct words. I hate, by the way, life's obsession with the word and the terminology, because You've said the word essence quite a lot. I think sometimes you've got to look beyond the terms that people use and look at how they're saying it. If a 90-year-old woman, 90-year-old white woman from East London who's lived there all her life calls me coloured, I've got to let that go because she doesn't know any better. She doesn't know the new terms and whatever it is. But so I'm going to say this: Black people, there is a lack of community amongst Black people, and I'll tell you what I've realised is: A, from friends' life growing up. B, from being in an Indian community, which is so community focused, which is also has its problems. I'm not saying, oh, guys, you need to be a bit more like us. What I'm saying is, why is that? Why is it that you Black people, you coin the term, hey, yo, bro, bruv. We do it now. Asians have taken so much inspiration from Black culture, Black music. If I didn't find basketball and hip hop in the early 90s, I don't even know what kind of person I'd be. It taught me that confidence in the lyrics and the music. Basketball taught me more body awareness and playing that sport, which was led by Black people at the time, cool Black people at the time. We wanted to be Magic Johnson. We wanted to be Michael Jordan. We want, and the music and everything.
Yeah.
So it's such a big part of our culture that we love it, but yet we've got this family bond and they employ each other. We employ, Asians employ Asians. Why don't Black people do? Why don't I see that commonly? I know there's exceptions to every rule. But firstly, would you agree? Or you might not agree. You might go, no, Tom, you misunderstood our community.
Yeah, no, you're correct. Do you know what's really weird? Black people, we have the strangest dynamic amongst our own people than any other group. It's the weirdest. It's the most bizarre group of people because we went through so much. We've been through so much. Our communities have been torn apart so much on every level. So if we're going to start from, obviously we were affluent people. We were affluent, we come from Africa where we had everything. We had the minerals, we had the wealth, we had the gold, the diamonds, the oil, the everything.
Bruv, more than you could ever need or want.
Okay, right.
So,
so if you imagine you're coming from that, and then obviously, slavery starts. We're displaced across the world, and people are like, what's that got to do with now? It's got absolutely everything to do with now. Empire was the reason why we live in this country, why my kids are growing up here, why we're in a place that still don't accept us even when we were born here. And so what happens is we're on this transition where after slavery, we didn't get any reparations. We got zero. We had nothing. We started from scratch. Okay, go on. You're free. You're free, Negroes. Go ahead. Go and live your life. But you can't just throw people out onto the streets and expect them to just be like, okay, everything's fine. That's not how it works. And so what happens is you end up in the most impoverished communities. The education's low. There's turmoil in the house. The dad sometimes don't stay around. There's a lot of pressure in the house. The family gets displaced. You've got half siblings living in the same house, step parents, which can work, but the foundation of a normal family is completely decimated. And then what you'll find is crime is higher in those areas as well. And they're going to be perpetuated by people who have no economics. It's nothing to do with color. If you look at any country in the world, anywhere there's an area where it's lower class economically, there's crime. There's going to be certain crime. Those people have no other way in their mind of making money and making their way out of the system. So even back in the 70s and the 60s, when in America, they started, and it's well documented, where the government placed guns and drugs in the black areas. What happened was prisons became businesses. And so it was, okay, all of these big companies now are investing in prisons. It's free labor. They're getting paid to put people in prison. And so now we're free, but we're not free. It's still a way of containing us. And what that does to the psyche is it's generational. So if I can't teach my children this is the way to do it, then they can't teach their children, and so forth and so forth. And so in the Asian community, what you guys have done well is stuck to some real basic traditional beliefs where you live in the same house as your parents. This is some of you, obviously. You've definite sense of community. You spend your money amongst yourselves. You've got your own area that is, you spend your own money. There are areas where there are black shops that sell black products, black food, but it's Asian people that own it. You guys see an opportunity for money, and it's not your fault at the end of the day. So if you look at like hair products,
but it comes from, I'm trying to chip in and say, it comes from that same, it's a sense of survival. My dad said to me when I was 10, 11 years old, he goes, look, I can give you so much. It's your job to double that for your kids. My mum said, my mum's one line, her one motivator was Gosh Banala, which means be something. Gosh means something, Banala is to make. She says, just make something of yourself, like progress. So that's it, basic level instilled. Like you're not, this isn't it. There's another level that you got to achieve, and you're going to achieve. So but it comes from a need to survive. Like you said, so business, you're right. It's not like, oh yeah, we're massively entrepreneurial. We know about structuring businesses. My cousins started off the property game in East London. They didn't start the property game. They started off in the property world. And they used to take the pens from Argos, the little pens and the notepads where you write your Argos order on. They use that as their Post-it notes. They just went to Argos, had to take up, because no one told them like, oh, you need stationery, you need a brand. And they cobbled it together. It was like roughing it, but now it's established. I'm saying that need for survival is there. I think that's what unites ethnic minorities or global majorities, whatever you want to call them. That's that, and you like I say, you have the same thing, survive. But I think the black people dealt with that need for survival differently to how Asians approached it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that a lot of times as well, we didn't focus on education as much. In the Asian community, education is like paramount, is key. We want you to be a doctor, lawyer, accountant, accountant. But in Africa, education is really big thing. In Jamaica it is, but for some reason the kids that are here, education, the education system doesn't seem to work. We're really misunderstood. And when I grew up in the 70s and 80s, black boys were seen as troublemakers. What wasn't happening, the teachers and the system wasn't scratching beneath the surface and saying what's actually going on here.
Yeah, why?
Is it a black thing? Is it black boys are prone to be more this or more that? No, it's our background. We felt like we had to be a certain way to actually survive, but that's not the case. If you look at most black families, especially from my generation, when you look at uncles had a big impact on my generation, because you'd find the uncles were the ones who, they went to prison, they were doing all the bad stuff, blah blah, but they looked good, they had all the jewelry, they had everything. And so that was an inspiration for a whole generation of boys looking at them like, wow, I'd like to be like uncle, And it's really sad, because I feel like now we're expressing ourselves, but I don't want it to just be in the arts. I don't want it to just be, oh, I'm making money because I'm into music, or I'm a footballer, or I'm a runner. It needs to be more. And our community, we don't, everybody wants to look better than everybody else. Yeah, that's a big problem. I want to have more. I want to have the 30 grand watch. I want to have the 100 grand car. I want to have the £2 million house. And it's more showing you rather than let's work together. Let's build something. Let's come together, create an empire, and then everybody can eat. But that doesn't work, because what you find is, it's sad. It's really sad, because I've tried to do business with my own. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the reason why it doesn't work most of the time is because of lack of trust. Money goes missing, this happens, this can't be explained. Well, what happened to it? And it doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't happen with white people as well, or any other culture, but I find we don't really give ourselves an opportunity, a chance to say, well, as soon as we get burnt, we're like, that's it, I ain't doing that again. I've had tenants that I'm like, oh my God, I cannot rent to those people again, because that's the experience that I've had. And I've had to try and change my mindset. But if you look at even Empire, in your culture as well, in the Oriental culture, in the Black culture, even colorism is such a big thing. The darker you are, the poorer you are. You know, you're a lower class, and it's a real big thing. When I was growing up, fair skin was like, it was money.
Ha! Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
It's the
it was
aspirational.
money. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at it from every angle where you're felt to be a nothing, even the experiment that they did back in, I think it was the 70s or 50s, 50s, 60s or 70s, where they did this experiment where they showed this little black girl two dolls and they said, which one would you prefer to be? And she chose the white doll. And they said, why did you choose the white doll? Because it's beautiful, because it's kind, because da, 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 da. And she looked at the black doll as if it was the bad one. And how you portray a self-image of somebody is really important on their whole psyche, on how they view themselves, how they view their community, what they aspire to be. If you're empowered when you're young, you think about this, yeah. You look at the education system and you look at what they teach children. This is when you be able to download stuff into people the most. You know, when you get your basic foundation for your personality and your character is up until you're 7 years old.
Yeah,
it's been proven by psychologists. Yeah. Up until 7 is a real key time where, you know what, this is where real fundamentals of your personality is developed. If in that time you're being fed what somebody else wants to feed you, where they're not showing you your true self, where you come from, and they only show you about slavery, they only show you about Martin Luther King. So it's struggle, so it's deprivation, so it's negative. It's nothing. They don't show you nothing to do with kings and queens, money, where we came from. They don't show that side. Whereas the Jewish community, they managed to get right. We've got a whole chapter on Hitler, on what happened to us. We've got reparations. We've got someone we can look at and say, that's the bad guy. We don't have that.
There's no one pinpoint bad guy. And I'm not saying, that's not a detriment. And I know why you're saying it, because you say it kind of helps in a way Jewish people come to terms with that whole horrible time because you've got someone central to it and a movement. Whereas I think the way in which empire, or we're going to call it that, or many other factors have changed the way Black people are in this country and around the world. Their attitudes, their work ethic, their mindset, their community, the way they work together or not work together. And, and even Indians, Asians being like, oh, keep your head down, just get on with it. Don't cause a fuss, just get on it. All of that, you don't have a right to go, hold on a minute, this isn't fair. And that's only coming now in a new generation, which is what's causing problems, because I'm sure a lot of British white people are going, hang on a minute, what's going on? I'm losing control of my country. And we're going, no, this is my country, because I was born here. And I've now got something to say, and I don't think this is right. And I don't think you should use that term. And I don't think, and hold on a minute, we're looking at that. We can zoom out and see the system and go, oh, well, obviously Black boys are going to be a bit like this, or Asian boys are going to be a bit like that, because look at the story, So we're getting it. And that's why I think a lot of the world is struggling, kind of going, oh my God, everything's gone crazy. It's gone BLM and Me Too movement and all that. And I'm like, no, because we're making up for lost time. And I think I've got no problem. People go, oh, why do you stand for BLM? Why would I? And I'm like, because I win from that as well. As a brown, Indian, Asian, British Asian man, it's the same struggle, which is that there's a power thing. There's what you're allowed to do, what you feel involved in or not involved in Western life and British life. So we all, in a way, I've said this before and I'm going to say it now. I feel like Black people are kind of like our shield. You guys were doing it before us. So you came to the UK before us. They dealt with the racism before us. And then we came along like, woo, they can beat up the Asians now. Like, we're off for a bit. And even like, even now, leading the way with BLM, I'm like, that's great. Because I know then our time is sort of soon coming, or that awareness towards the specific, the split nuance kind of issues of Asian culture, British Asian culture can happen. But unfortunately, we're relying upon the Black community to kind of go, can you go lead the way? Because you guys are strong and loud and get together and can power through it. But did you not? You can see that you have to, this is the time. The time. This is a good time in a way, isn't it? Because things are turning.
I'll be honest with you. Like the past, it's really crazy. But you see, like what happened with George Floyd. As sad as it is, as sad as it was, and it shouldn't have to happen, but it has changed the course of history. It's changed. Hopefully, long term, because I think sometimes what happens is, I don't want to say white people. No. I don't want to say white people. No, but the establishment, they're very good at drip feeding you something and then pacifying you and then going back to type. They're really good at that. So you feel like there's progress, and then what happens is then slowly but surely it goes back to what it was before, and before you know it, you're just like, oh shit, we're back here again, because you're not really paying attention to what's going on. But I
Yeah.
do actually feel as if things are actually moving forward. You know, you look at the likes of like Mo Gilligan, Judy Love, how far they've come. And yeah, I know it's only a couple of them, but it's such a start. The progress that they've had in that short space of time, where they've been given opportunities and have delivered, and it's like, oh, actually, oh, they have actually got something to offer. They're not
Yep.
just loud. They're not just angry. They're not just this. They're not just that. Because I'll be honest with you, white people don't really know black people. Black people really know white people. We really know them. They don't know us. They think they know us. They've got this caricature in their head of what they think we're about. And that's the honest truth. When I moved into my house, yeah, sorry, I'm at home, so I don't want to share. When I moved into my house, I live in a nice road, middle class road. I don't think that, yeah, there's not another black person on this road, I don't think. The neighbor, nice guy, "Yeah, hello, hi, how are you?" "Yeah." And I know he's looking at me like, how did you manage to live next door to me? But he don't want to ask. And he was like, so, I play my music quite loud sometimes, If it's too loud and you hear it, can you please just let me know to turn it down? But I've been there for 2.5 years. I've never heard anything once. What he was doing was telling me, you keep your music down.
Yeah.
But that was in his head, that he thought, oh, young black guy, oh God, that's gonna be a nightmare.
They're gonna be loud. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like that's the way, that because of their own prejudice, they kind of, and this is one of the reasons why I love doing comedy, because sometimes when I go on stage, I know what people think when I go on. I know what they think. I know how they feel about people that look like me.
And
Even like,
I want to say this as well. Asians are so guilty of it. Oh, the gala,
yeah.
talking about the big gala, the big gala.
Yes. Yeah,
And we
yeah,
joke
yeah.
about it. I can say that to you again because you address it on stage, like, because
Mhm.
a big black, and Asians are so guilty of stereotyping that, and supposedly feeling intimidated from the big gala. And I'm like, this is ridiculous because he's a big
Yeah.
softie. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're right.
But
Yeah,
it's true, because look, I know, and you know where that comes from? It comes from your parents, Tommy. Your parents told you what black people were about.
yeah,
And I'll be honest with you, their perception of black people didn't come from black people that necessarily they met. It was black people that they had seen on TV. The media had painted us to be. Because look, your generation, your mum's generation would be like my mum's age. And then your grandparents would be my grandparents' generation. My grandparents were my mum, both my grandmothers were nurses. My granddad worked at Ford. Yeah, like the Windrush
yeah,
black people that came here were the least problematic black people you could ever come across. They just wanted to come and assimilate, come in, fit in, work really hard, buy their house, and bring their children over to have a better life. That's all their aspirations were. It wasn't to be millionaires. It was just, you know what? They don't want to live in poverty back in Jamaica or whatever.
Mm.
Then you had the next generation who came here, and they were a little bit problematic. So uh, because they come here, my grandparents, obviously education was a big thing, but they had to kind of make their own way, because it was like, hold on, there's no job there for us. What I want to make, I don't think I'm going to make from the skills that I've got. So they took a different route. And so what you found was, there was a time when I was growing up, like, around the 80s, where things were quite bad, but
yeah,
it was to do with, um, see, gang culture was starting to be prevalent back then. The education system was failing young black men. Um, it was always in the news that black people were bad and this and that, and there were no job opportunities. Everybody was stereotyping. Now people might be racist, but they will never show it to you. Back then, it was fair play. They call you the
yeah,
N word to your face.
yeah.
So we didn't feel welcome. We didn't feel wanted. And some people turned down the wrong path. Yes, some people didn't. But your parents definitely instilled in you what they perceive black people to be. Now, if I'm being honest, I can't blame them because everybody is prejudiced. Everybody.
Yep.
If I mention Polish, you'll have your stereotype in your head. If I mention
Yeah.
Somalian, you'll have your stereotype in your head. And so, unfortunately, the label that we've got is the angry, aggressive, physical one. You know, you'll get like the Polish, you say, oh yeah, they drink a lot, or they work hard, or they're scammers, or whatever. The Romanians or whatever, they're into drugs, they're into this, but not all of them are. But that's
No.
the picture that's painted. And so when you see a black guy walking down the road and your instinct is to grab your bag or to walk across the road,
or even nothing. Even if your instinct is to do nothing, but to have all that program is still running.
Process,
like,
yeah,
I'm just aware. In the same way, if I saw a 90-year-old white woman, I'd go, it'd be another set of processes, but there is a set of processes. And again, that's all from, like you say, stereotypes. It's passed down. It's woven into history.
Yeah.
We're not going to change. And you said it again, development of yourself is a progress.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think development of society is a progress, meaning it's not going to happen overnight, but I feel it is happening. And I think the key to it is to show the breadth of a community. So like you say, Romanians are not just, Polish are not just, Indians are not just, Pakistanis are not just, black people, and what? Black. That's too generic. What are you saying? Jamaicans are not. Ghanaians are not. And that little bit of awareness and understanding, a little bit of knowledge. But I also believe it's people's rights to be ignorant. If you kind of go, look, I don't know the difference between Polish, Romanian, Lithuanian, and I don't care. That's okay.
Yeah.
Then you be in that way. And if I don't understand what the difference is between Ghanaians and Nigerians, that's okay. Just don't be an idiot about it and understand that they exist. But go about your business. But I want to show. I think, like you say, Judy's out there. You say Mo's out there. You're out there. Slim's out there. There's a Guz Khan out there. There's a Nish Kumar out there. But we need to show that actually there are some that can be political, some that can be this, some who are comedy characters, comedy actors now. Guz Khan, so that breadth needs to come through, and it needs to be authentic. I want to see the black business family, like your Powers or whatever, but still, Power still got that underlying kind of stereotype to it as well, which is fine. It's TV, it's entertainment. But I want breadth. I guess that's what I'm saying. I think that's what next is a range.
Yeah. And that's really important because we are really diverse. There's people in our own community that we look down on. Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's not like we're expecting you to say every black person's amazing. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying, not every black person's bad. That's what we're trying to say.
Wow. And look at that. Look at that, the fact that we're having to say that in 2021. And I'll always say this. Wrong-uns, as we put them, you're a wrong-un. Wrong-uns aren't defined by color or religion. You get wrong-uns everywhere. I've got wrong-uns in my family. Everywhere. I'm a wrong-un sometimes, and then try and correct myself. So we got to let some of that go. Listen, Kane, this is not going to be the first time you're on a podcast. We've got so much more to talk about, but I'm going to love you and leave you and say thank you. But please just keep coming back. We do this. Look at that. It's 50 minutes gone in a flash because.
Shut up. You're joking, man. I was meant to go gym. Oh my God.
Go. You go gym because you need to work on those. But I want to see the difference in those biceps when we're next in the hotel room comparing them.
Yes, don't worry, brother.
Listen, I love you, man. You're awesome.
I love you too, brother.
And I'll see you on stage very soon. All right, bro. Take it easy.
Appreciate it, Tommy. Thank you, man. I love you, brother.
Hey, before you go, have you hit subscribe to the podcast yet? Have you done that? You should. Have you also started following the Tommy Sandhu podcast on social media? That's on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook as well. Do it. Because then, when those annoying little notifications pop up with the random stuff that you've agreed to let into your life. Okay, delete those. Let some Tommy Sandhu joy in. I'm going to be talking to the good people. I'm going to be having some fun chats. Why not have those on a daily basis and get the notifications as well? All you got to do is hit subscribe and like and follow, and it's free. It's free. It's our favorite word. Asians love free. Say it. It's free. Oh, it feels good. Go on, do it now.